Amarachi's low-budget wedding was called a curse. Her husband was ridiculed as worthless. Yet behind his silence was a hidden secret that would shake everyone to their knees. Once upon a time in the peaceful village of Ozora lived a beautiful girl called Amarachi. Amarachi was a hardworking and intelligent girl from a poor background. Amarachi was a food vendor. She sells food for a living. One fateful Monday morning, Amarachi balanced a tray of steaming jollof rice in the dimly lit local restaurant. Customers shouted orders, laughter echoed, but her eyes strayed to the quiet young man in rough clothes, smelling of palm wine. His name was Kelechi. He ate slowly, humbly, always leaving behind a small smile of gratitude. To the world, he was just another poor palm wine tapper. To Amara, he was different. She didn't know why, but she felt drawn to him. The evening sun painted the village orange when Kelechi returned to the restaurant. Amara noticed his faded shirt had a small tear. Without hesitation, she offered him a free meal. "You look hungry," she said softly. He stared at her, surprised, then smiled with warmth that lit her heart. Unknown to her, he was silently testing something deeper than hunger. He was testing kindness. Amara passed that test without knowing her life was about to change forever. News spread like fire. Njideka, Amara's wealthy cousin, was back from the city. Her car glittered under the sun, her clothes screamed luxury. Villagers rushed to greet her, and she basked in their attention. When she saw Amara serving food with her greasy apron, she sneered. "Still carrying trays, cousin?" Njideka's words stung, but Amara held her head high. She had nothing but dignity. Njideka whispered to her fiancé, Ogonna, "Look at her, pathetic." Amara's co-workers teased her. "The palm wine tapper likes you," they giggled. She blushed, denying it, but her heart knew otherwise. One evening, Kelechi walked her home, carrying a heavy basket of leftovers. "Why are you kind to me?" he asked gently. She laughed nervously. "Because kindness costs nothing." Kelechi stopped, staring into her eyes. Not everyone believes that. Amara didn't realize she was walking into a love that would be mocked by everyone she knew. Njideka delivered her engagement invitation in person, just to remind Amara of their differences. "Wear something decent, cousin," she mocked. Her fiancé Ogonna smirked, eyeing Amara with a mixture of pity and disdain. Amara accepted politely, though she dreaded the event. Later, she told Kelechi about the invitation. His eyes darkened for a moment, but he quickly smiled. "We'll go together," he said. Amara hesitated. "They'll laugh at you." He only replied, "Let them." Njideka's engagement ceremony to Ogonna was the grandest the village had ever seen. Cars lined the street, musicians played all night, and food overflowed. Njideka deliberately invited Amara, just to shame her. The hall glittered with lights and expensive decorations. Njideka and Ogonna looked like royalty, while Amara and Kelechi stood in plain clothes at the edge. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that her husband-to-be? A palm wine tapper?" Laughter followed. Njideka smirked openly, "Amara, you always pick from the trash." Ogonna added cruelly, "You deserve each other." Amara's cheeks burned, but Kelechi remained calm, his eyes unreadable. He took her hand firmly, grounding her in silence. During the toast, Ogonna raised his glass mockingly. "To my fiancé, who chose a real man, not a palm wine tapper." Laughter erupted. Amara wanted to vanish. Kelechi stood silent, a faint smile playing on his lips, as though he was not the one being insulted. Amara's heart broke. Why did he endure this? Why didn't he fight back? She didn't know he was storing every insult, every laugh, for the day truth would thunder. While Njideka's wedding was lavish, Amara and Kelechi's ceremony was small, humble, attended by only a few villagers. Njideka came anyway, just to laugh. "A curse of poverty has followed you, cousin," she said aloud, ensuring everyone heard. Amara forced a smile as tears burned her eyes. Kelechi squeezed her hand and whispered, "Don't worry. Our story isn't finished." She didn't understand what he meant, but her heart clung to his quiet confidence. Married life was far from glamorous. Amara cooked with firewood, fetched water, and patched Kelechi's old clothes. Njideka made sure to visit often, flaunting her jewelry. "Are you sure this is marriage, Amara? Or a curse?" she mocked. Each insult carved Amara's heart, yet Kelechi never reacted. He walked quietly, leaving home early, returning late, always covered in dust. Amara's love for him grew, but so did her confusion. Who was this man truly? One evening, Amara noticed two men in suits waiting at the edge of the village. They whispered with Kelechi before leaving quickly. "Who were they?" she asked. Kelechi shrugged. "Old friends." But the way they bowed slightly to him didn't feel ordinary. Amara wondered why wealthy-looking men would respect a palm wine tapper. Questions swirled in her mind, but Kelechi's calm eyes silenced her doubts. For now. Njideka arrived at Amara's compound in a new car, Ogonna by her side. "This is your home," she laughed, staring at the mud walls and broken fence. "You truly married into poverty." Ogonna added with a smirk, "Kelechi should be grateful you're still alive in this hut." Amara's cheeks flushed, but Kelechi only smiled faintly and welcomed them as if nothing had been said. His silence frustrated Amara, but it also frightened Njideka. Why was he never shaken? Word spread quickly that Amara had cursed herself by marrying a poor palm wine tapper. Some villagers pitied her, others mocked openly. Women whispered in the market, she was beautiful enough to marry a rich man, yet she chose poverty. Amara walked past them with her head down. Only Kelechi's gentle reassurance at night kept her spirit from breaking. But she wondered, was her life truly a curse, or was something waiting just beyond the shadows? At his insurance office, Ogonna boasted about his future promotions. He was determined to climb high in the Amarachi Group, the giant company based in the city. He sneered whenever he thought of Kelechi. That palm wine tapper couldn't even afford a pair of shoes, he laughed to his colleagues. What he didn't know was that every word, every action, was slowly tying his fate to the man he mocked the most. That night, Amara confronted Kelechi. "Why don't you ever defend me? Why do you let them humiliate us?" Her voice cracked. Kelechi pulled her close, his voice calm. "Because words are wind, Amara. The day of truth is not yet here." She stared into his eyes, torn between love and frustration. His certainty terrified her. What truth could possibly change everything? She didn't know her husband's silence was more powerful than their laughter. Njideka threw another party, inviting half the village just to flaunt her riches. Amara and Kelechi were not invited, but Njideka made sure word reached them. "It will be the grandest night in this village's history," she told Amara smugly. Amara sat quietly in her hut, listening to distant music and fireworks. She held Kelechi's hand, whispering, "Maybe one day we will be free of this shame." Kelechi smiled in the dark. One day. The next morning, Amara found a beautiful necklace on her table. "Where did this come from?" she asked. Kelechi shrugged. "I bought it." But she had never seen him carry money, never seen him sell more than a few gourds of palm wine. The necklace glittered like something from the city. "Who are you, really?" she asked softly. Kelechi kissed her forehead. "Your husband." The mystery deepened, but Amara's questions grew louder in her heart. At his office, Ogonna was summoned to meet a board representative from the city. A man in a sharp suit arrived, carrying papers signed with the initials KEM. Ogonna tried to impress him, boasting about his connections. But the man only smirked. "The owner of this company values humility," he said pointedly. Ogonna waved him off arrogantly, unaware he had just insulted someone close to Kelechi. The trap was tightening, but no one saw it yet. As months passed, Amara felt increasingly isolated. Her family rarely visited, ashamed of her lowly marriage. Njideka paraded her success, while villagers looked at Amara with pity. She often cried alone, though Kelechi would comfort her with soft words and unexpected little gifts. Yet his long absences troubled her. "You disappear for hours. Where do you go?" she asked one night. Kelechi only smiled. "I'm preparing for our future." That answer shook her heart with both hope and fear. One market day, Njideka spotted Amara and dragged her into the crowd. See everyone, this is what happens when beauty wastes on poverty. Ogonna laughed beside her. Her husband should be fetching palm wine, not pretending to be a man. The crowd laughed. Amora's hands trembled, shame soaking her eyes. Kelechi appeared suddenly, taking her hand. Let's go home, he said calmly. But something in his eyes that day flickered like fire, just for a second. Late that night, Amora awoke to whispers outside their hut. Men in black suits bowed slightly to Kelechi before disappearing into the darkness. She froze. Her husband walked back in, dusting his hands as if nothing had happened. Who were those men? She asked, trembling. Kelechi smiled gently. Friends. But the respect in their bows, the silence in their footsteps, it didn't look like friendship. It looked like power. Amora lay awake all night, her heart pounding. At the village festival, Njideka danced in a gown covered with golden beads while Ogonna threw wads of cash in the air. The crowd cheered. Then Njideka spotted Amora and dragged her close. Does your husband even have coins for groundnuts? She laughed. Amora forced a smile, holding back tears. Kelechi stood calmly, hands behind his back. His eyes lingered on Ogonna with quiet fire, but he said nothing. Amora wondered how long he could endure this humiliation. A stranger in the market asked Amora casually, "Is that man truly your husband? He does not walk like a poor man." Shocked, Amora asked what he meant. The man shrugged. His eyes carry command. Even in silence, he looks like someone used to giving orders. Amora couldn't stop thinking about it. Later, she watched Kelechi walking on his palm wine ropes, and even then, she saw it, an elegance hidden beneath the disguise. One evening, a child delivered a sealed envelope to Kelechi. Amora caught a glimpse before he tucked it away. The letter bore the initials KEM. What does it mean? She asked. Kelechi smiled faintly. Only business. But the name felt familiar to Amora. She had overheard Ogonna boast about his company's head office, Amarachi Group, also competing with something called KEM Group. Could there be a connection? The suspicion dug deeper into her mind. At the city branch, Ogonna grew impatient. He wanted promotion fast. He bragged to his colleagues, "The board will have no choice. I'm Njideka's fiancé. My future is secure." But whispers spread among the staff. KEM Group was planning a hostile takeover of Amarachi Group. Ogonna laughed it off. Let them try. I'll rise regardless. He didn't realize the man he mocked in the village controlled the very empire he was desperate to impress. Amora stayed awake one night, staring at the ceiling. Maybe Njideka is right, she whispered to herself. Maybe I doomed my life. Her tears slipped quietly as Kelechi slept beside her. She remembered the necklace, the mysterious men, the strange letters, everything pointed to secrets. Yet he gave her peace in small ways, laughter by the fire, his hand steady on hers. For the first time, she questioned whether marrying Kelechi had been a mistake. The thought stabbed her heart. Days later, Amora saw Kelechi in the forest, talking to two men in dark suits. One handed him a tablet, and Kelechi scrolled swiftly, giving instructions with the authority of a commander. Amora hid behind a tree, stunned. This wasn't the clumsy palm wine tapper she knew. This was someone else, someone powerful. When he returned, he found her pale and silent. "Amora, what's wrong?" She shook her head, but the image refused to leave her mind. One evening, Ogonna crossed paths with Kelechi in the city. Surrounded by colleagues, he mocked loudly, "Look, the village palm wine tapper. Does Amora drink her meals from calabash too?" The crowd roared with laughter. Kelechi simply smiled, his calmness confusing everyone. But one man in the group noticed something, the way others in the street bowed slightly when Kelechi passed. Ogonna laughed, blind to the truth, while Kelechi's silence became more dangerous. Amora's life felt heavier than ever. She carried shame from Njideka's endless mockery, Ogonna's insults, and villagers' whispers. Yet deep inside, something told her this wasn't the end. She replayed every moment, the necklace, the bowed men, the mysterious letters, the shadow of authority in his voice. She lay beside Kelechi that night, whispering, "If there is something you're hiding, I pray it is worth all this pain." Outside, thunder roared, the storm was near. Njideka gathered women in the village square, laughing loudly. "Can you believe Amara still cooks for that palm wine man? She smells of poverty." The women clapped and jeered. Amara passed by, her head lowered. The words cut like knives, but when she reached home, Kelechi simply held her hand. "A flower mocked in the dust still blooms at dawn," he whispered. His calmness both comforted and confused her. At work, Ogonna grew desperate. Promotion slipped past him. "I deserve to be manager," he barked. His boss shook his head. "Patience, Ogonna. The decision is not ours. The board answers only to the chairman of KEM Group." The name rang in Ogonna's ears. He had never met this chairman, but the thought of bowing to an unseen man angered him. He swore he would rise, no matter who stood in his way. Late one evening, a black car stopped near Amara's hut. Men in suits stepped out, whispering to Kelechi before handing him a briefcase. Amara watched through the crack in the door. When Kelechi entered, his raffia wrapper seemed out of place against the polished case. "Who are you?" Amara blurted. He smiled faintly. "One day, you will understand. But not tonight." His words haunted her long after he slept. Njideka noticed Amara's calmness and hated it. "She should be miserable, yet she walks with hidden pride," she told Ogonna. "We must crush her spirit once and for all." Ogonna smirked, promising to expose Kelechi as a fraud. "He's nothing but a tree climber. Leave him to me." Njideka clapped with glee, certain Amara's shame would soon be complete. At a village council meeting, Ogonna loudly mocked Kelechi before the elders. "How can a man who climbs palm trees guide a woman's destiny? Amara deserves pity." The crowd laughed. Amara's face burned with shame. She turned to Kelechi, praying he would defend himself. But he only smiled faintly, bowing his head. The laughter roared, and Amara's heart shattered. That night, she wept bitterly, believing her life truly cursed. Meanwhile in the city, rumors spread, KEM Group was preparing a massive expansion. Factories were being built, contracts signed, and powerful men trembled at the name of the unseen chairman. Ogonna, blind to the truth, continued mocking Amara in the village, not knowing that the man he insulted was the storm gathering silently above him. Amara collapsed in the kitchen, clutching her chest. "I cannot bear this shame anymore." Kelechi rushed to her side, wiping her tears. "Hold on, Amara. Your pain will not last forever." But she pushed him away. "Then show me who you are. Stop hiding behind silence." For the first time, Kelechi's calm eyes flickered with something sharper, a power restrained. He whispered, "Soon." At the Harvest Festival, Ogonna took the microphone, announcing, "Today, let us honor true men of success." He called Njideka to his side and pointed mockingly at Amara. "Some women choose kings, others choose tree climbers." The crowd roared with laughter. Amara's face burned. Kelechi stood silent, sipping from his gourd, but his faint smile chilled even Ogonna. It was the smile of a lion waiting to strike. Back at Amarachi Group, Ogonna wrote a proposal demanding to be made manager. "If they refuse, I resign and join KEM Group," he boasted. But whispers reached him, KEM Group didn't hire arrogance. They demanded loyalty and respect. He scoffed, confident his fiancé's wealthy family would push him forward. He had no idea he was walking into the hands of the very man he mocked. One evening, as thunder roared across the skies, Kelechi returned home with a new calmness. Amara noticed the glow in his eyes, like fire hidden in shadow. "Amara," he said softly, "the time is near." She stared at him, heart racing. He leaned closer. "You will soon see why silence has been my shield." At that moment, Amara realized her life was on the edge of something far bigger than she had ever imagined. The city buzzed with whispers as the elite gathered at the KEM Group anniversary gala. Spotlights danced across the marble halls. Njideka and Ogonna entered, confident that the night would secure their influence. Yet, they had no idea the host of the evening, the unseen billionaire, was the very man they had once betrayed. Behind the scenes, murmur spread among the guests. The mysterious CEO was finally set to reveal himself. Njideka's heart raced as she noticed a man's silhouette walking toward the stage. Something in his stride felt hauntingly familiar. The hall went silent. The announcer's voice thundered, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the founder and CEO of KEM Group, Mr. Kelechi Evans Maduka." Gasps filled the air. Njideka's wine glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Ogonna froze, his smug smile fading into dread. Kelechi, dressed in a tailored black suit, stood tall at the podium. His voice carried strength, calmness, and vengeance wrapped in grace. "Years ago, I was told I was nothing. Tonight, I stand as proof that destiny cannot be stopped." The crowd erupted in applause, but Njideka and Ogonna felt their words crumble. Njideka's knees weakened. Memories of her betrayal, mocking Kelechi's poverty, choosing greed over love, crashed into her like waves. She whispered, trembling, "No, it cannot be him." But it was. Her past had come back to judge her. Kelechi revealed documents exposing Ogonna's corruption, land theft, and betrayal of the very people he claimed to protect. On the giant screens, evidence scrolled, bank transfers, forged deeds, testimonies. Ogonna tried to protest, but security men closed in on him. The same society that once worshipped Njideka and Ogonna now turned against them. Guests murmured in disgust. Phones recorded every moment. So these were the ones who mocked Kelechi, voices whispered. The mighty had fallen before the eyes of the world. Kelechi raised a toast, to resilience, to hope, and to the truth that no betrayal can bury a destined soul. His words rang like prophecy, echoing through the golden hall. Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled. Headlines were already being written, and then the revelation that silenced even the whispers: KEM Group, the full meaning is Kelechi Evans Maduka, the man who refused to be broken. The man who rose from rejection to a billionaire CEO. Njideka rushed toward him after the gala, tears streaming down her face. "Forgive me. I was blind. I chose wrongly." Kelechi's gaze was steady, his voice calm but firm. "Njideka, you intentionally chose your path as it pleases you. Now, I must walk mine. Don't shy away from the consequences of your decisions. The poor couple you humiliated has moved on. The boy you mocked is gone, the man before you belongs to destiny." She collapsed in sobs, realizing she had lost more than wealth, she had lost the one man who truly loved her. What no one in that hall knew was the reason Kelechi had once walked the village streets in torn clothes, smelling of palm wine. Years ago, his uncle had plotted to take over his late father's empire, and to survive, Kelechi disappeared into obscurity, disguising himself as a poor palm wine tapper. But it was more than safety, it was also a test. He longed for a woman who would love him for his soul, not for the weight of his fortune. And in Amarachi, he found her. She had stood by him when the world scorned him, serving him meals in the smoky restaurant, never seeing poverty in him, only dignity. Her love had no price tag, no condition. As dawn broke, Kelechi and Amarachi stood atop his skyscraper, hand in hand, overlooking the city that once rejected them. His disguise had been his shield, but her love had been his anchor. His journey, from haunted heir to hidden pauper, from mocked villager to a man commanding an empire, was now their shared triumph. The drums of destiny beat for those who dare to listen. This story teaches us that true worth is never determined by appearances. The poor man you mock today may be the king of tomorrow, and the humble girl you despise may one day sit on a throne of honor. Life has a way of humbling pride and lifting those who remain kind, loyal, and true at heart. Never look down on anyone because of their current situation. Respect people, no matter how small they may seem. Destiny has a way of rewriting stories in ways no one expects. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Audacity Folktales for more life-changing and impactful African folktale stories that teach, entertain, and transform. Until next time.